You know, many would agree that our agriculture sector is the bread and butter of our economy. We rely so heavily on our farmers and producers. But where's the industry at? How healthy is it right now, especially in Alberta, and where are we headed? We're joined today by R.J. Sigurdson, Alberta Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, to talk a bit about the shape of our agriculture industry here in the province. Minister Sigurdson joins us now from Edmonton. R.J., thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Great to be here, Hal. It's a great day to have a conversation about agriculture, such an important industry to Alberta and all of Canada.
Amen to that. Now, we're seeing the combines in the fields these days. What's the harvest looking like here in southern Alberta and the rest of the province?
Well, we definitely were a bit concerned at the springtime this year. We had some strained years over the past 3 years, but we definitely saw rainfalls in the spring. Unfortunately, we didn't see some of the rain in July that would have been necessary to really push our agricultural industry to a what I would call a bumper year. But we're seeing average across the province right now. We're still waiting on a lot of the reports to come in. But definitely that spring rain that we saw this year definitely replenished the soil after 3 years of drought conditions. So it improved dramatically this year.
So, in your opinion, what crops kind of suffered a bit this season?
Well, we definitely, due to the fact that we didn't get some of the midterm rains in July, we definitely are seeing some of the strain in our wheat, definitely some strain in the barley. It just didn't get that rain in the mid-year that you would like to generally see that is going to improve the conditions.
Now, China has been discussing putting tariffs on Canadian canola in retaliation to the federal government putting a 100% tariff on Chinese made EVs. So, RJ, how much would this really hurt our producers? I mean, I read close to what, 70% of our canola exports go to China?
Yeah, 70% of our canola exports do go to China. So definitely this is a major concern for our farmers. It will have an impact on the agricultural industry as a whole here in the province and west all of Canada. And we're working closely with our federal counterparts to come to a quick resolution to this. This is very untimely. When you say that the combines are in the field right now, this couldn't have come at a worse time. So we definitely are working with our federal government right now to find a quick resolution to this and support our farmers and ranchers during this time.
So, if the spat with China continues long term, RJ, are there other trading partners we can reach out to, maybe in Asia or elsewhere?
Well, this has been a focus of our provincial government is to take a look at the opportunities of diversifying our global trade markets, and that's why one of my first trips was over to Asia to have conversations about additional pathways and strengthening the food security for those countries that have been solid trading partners with Alberta, and also looking at opportunities all across the globe, which is going to continue to strengthen agriculture here in the province.
I think it's safe to say that the majority of Alberta farmers are not in favor of the carbon tax. RJ, how is this really impacting our agriculture sector, and is there anything we can really do about it?
Well, it is a major impact, and it's a major impact right down to the consumer. I've said that I believe there's more layers of the carbon tax on the food that we buy in the grocery stores than probably any other essential commodity that people have to buy on a daily basis. We continue to have conversations with the federal government to look at ending the carbon tax on all agricultural related products because when we talk about food affordability, that's really all it's doing. Our agri-food processors are paying heavy carbon tax right down to the logistics of moving our commodities throughout the province and across the country are impacted by the carbon tax, which just does nothing but raise the price of food in the grocery store for everyday Albertans and Canadians.
You know, it's certainly been an interesting year with drought concerns, as you mentioned earlier, and low reservoir levels, especially here in southern Alberta. But thankfully, as we talked about as well, we did receive a little bit of rainfall. Now, I know the province has been looking at ways to shore up the four pillars: share, store, conserve, and manage water. Is there anything definite in the works right now?
Well, we definitely are having that conversation, understanding that water is a finite resource and we have to treat it as such. So, we are looking at different ways to manage our water here in the province of Alberta, ensure that we are maximizing on efficiency as much as possible. We're also looking at investments across the board, including investing in our irrigation systems. We have 933 million that we put forward to our irrigation infrastructure modernization. Through that, we're seeing efficiencies that is opening up new acres to irrigation. We're looking at investing in feasibility studies, $5 million in the 2024 budget to take a look at additional storage options like the Airmore Dam and Ardley Dam. And right down to the fact that we're working with Acadia in the special areas right now. They've partnered with CIB and they are looking right now at a whole new irrigation district in east central Alberta that would open up 1.8 million acres of irrigation, which is important as we continue to look at the fact that the global demand for food is going to continue to rise over the decades to come.
So how about some of that water sharing? How vital is that for our producers?
Well, definitely, it's incredibly important. And when we look at the long-term vision here in the province about investing in, infrastructure to be able to increase storage and capacity, that's really important in southern Alberta, and that's why we're looking at all options available to be able to increase storage so that we can provide that stability when we're looking at a growing province that is seeing groves of people move here, and we're seeing some of the most positive growth in the agricultural space with investments in agro-processing right now. We talk about Cavendish, McCain's, P&H mills. We see a lot of investment coming to the province right now, and we understand that water is critical to ensure that that continues to happen in the future, and that our farmers have the water they need to be able to grow the commodities that everyday Canadians rely on.
What is the outlook looking like right now for the cattle and hog sector here in the province?
Well, we are, of course, the prices on the cattle side are still high, and we are seeing a lot of demand continue to increase across the globe. The pork industry, of course, they've seen some strain in the past couple of years with the pricing side of it. We continue to work with them to strengthen the industry, and as well, when we were over in Asia, was predominantly talking to and educating individuals in Asia about the high quality commodities that we have here, including beef and pork, and increasing market access in those areas to be able to strengthen those industries.
Interesting when Premier Daniel Smith was down in Texas recently talking about Alberta beef versus Texas beef, and there was a little bit of an argument there. Who has the better beef? What are your
Well, I think
thoughts?
that's going to be an argument that'll continue to happen for years to come. I would say that Alberta's got the best beef in the world, and I'll continue to support that message everywhere I travel.
Amen to that. Now, the federal government is wanting to see Alberta farmers significantly reduce their use of nitrogen-based fertilizers in their efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. RJ, have you been pushing back on this or complying with Ottawa?
Well, I've been pushing back. Our farmers and ranchers use the right amount of fertilizer, and that's the message I've been expressing to the federal government. We have 4R here that includes right rate, right amount, right fertilizer. These are the policies that our farmers implement every single year in order to maximize their yields, which I believe is the key to sustainable farming practices and maximizing on the acres to be able to grow the most food possible. Um, at the price of fertilizer, our farmers use only what they need. And that's to be able to make sure that they have a maximum opportunity every year to have the greatest yield possible. And I continue to have that conversation with the federal government in making them recognize that our farmers and ranchers are true stewards of the land. And over the past decades, they have always done everything possible to improve soil health and to be able to, make sure that they recognize the importance of moving forward in the environmental and sustainable farming practices. Every farmer I talk to is focused on it, and I just continue to advocate on their behalf on the federal level to make the feds understand that we do have the greatest farmers and ranchers in the world moving forward in those environmental practices.
Now, speaking of which, where are we at when it comes to family farms? I know a number of farmers are retiring right now. Are we seeing more young people wanting to get involved in the agriculture sector? What kind of incentives are we maybe offering the younger generation?
Well, I think one of the concerns that we do have as a provincial government, something we're keeping a close eye on, is the fact that the average age of a farmer rancher right now continues to be on the rise here in Alberta. And when we look at opportunities for the next generation to move into farming and ranching, we want to continue to support programs that help. And that's why our next generation loans through AFSC, we've made some recent changes to that to extend the amount available and as well the eligibility requirements to open that up and just try to get that door a little bit further open and continue to educate the next generation on how much opportunity there is in the agricultural space in the future.
Now, Alberta's food processing sector is the second largest manufacturing industry here in the province, and we have a lot of it right here in southern Alberta, as we discussed earlier, and it's been expanding. Do you think we'll see that trend continue?
I think that trend is going to continue. When we talk about Alberta having the best tax jurisdiction in all of Canada, we combine that with our processing investment tax credit, a 12% non-refundable tax credit for those that invest 10 million or more here in the province of Alberta. And that's why we've just seen so much investment happening between P&H, Imperial with their biofuel, and we see Cavendish, McCain's expansion happening across the province. On average, we saw about $500,000 worth of investment happening in the province of Alberta roughly every year. This year alone, we're going to see $3.2 billion worth of investment come to the province. And we've really become a beacon for the agri processing investment, and it's very exciting. It strengthens our agricultural industry right down to the family farm, which it's very exciting. And that's why I continue to advocate to our youth about the opportunities in agriculture for the future.
Where does Alberta rank when it comes to how much we actually produce in grains, not only being exported to other provinces, but around the world? Where do we rank, like compared to Ontario, Saskatchewan? What are your thoughts?
Well, I would always say that Western Canada is the largest of the producers in Canada. We definitely are very important to the Canadian agricultural market. When you combine Alberta and Saskatchewan, we are the lion's share of production, both of cereals, pulses. Alberta, of course, is the largest beef producer in all of Canada, which is something we're very proud of. But we always look at every opportunity to strengthen every agricultural industry, and we look at opportunities to strengthen. Pulses is something that we've talked about as being a, a great opportunity for the province of Alberta, and that's why we've seen a lot of investment come in relation to that. In the Leduc area, we have a fractionation facility that's happening there to extract pure plant protein, which is very exciting. So we have lots of opportunity here in Western Canada and definitely Alberta when it comes to all agricultural products.
Now, you talk to a lot of farming families, obviously, across the province here. Are some of our farmers considering maybe doing away with certain types of traditional crops and maybe considering something more lucrative, such as hemp? I mean, hemp is used to strengthen concrete driveways, used in car parts, making clothing, maybe thinking outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, just recently I did a northern Alberta tour all the way up through the Peace Country as far north as Lacrete to really get my feet on the ground and take a look at what's happening up there with farming operations. And we saw some exciting opportunities around hemp and other products. So we definitely look at every opportunity we can right now in the province to strengthen any commodity that our farmers and ranchers that they think is viable for their area. And there's certain areas of the province that hemp has a lot of opportunity and would I think has potential in the future for everything from car parts, as you mentioned, right down to concrete and other composites. So
Now, obviously, winter's just around the corner. Some of us are dreading it. Other people are pretty excited about it, especially the skiers in my family. But let's talk, RJ, specifically about the snowpack and how vital that is for our agriculture sector.
the snowpack is key. I mean, we have streams and rivers that are glacier fed, but definitely the snowpack is what's required to be able to fill our reservoirs every year. those reservoirs that we rely on for industry, municipalities, and definitely irrigation for our farms in southern Alberta. So we keep a very close eye on that snowpack as the winter progresses, and we work hand in hand with our irrigation districts to make sure that they've got as much data and information as possible so they can manage their irrigation districts efficiently and effectively every single year. And we also look at every opportunity as the province when we operate those reservoirs and dams to ensure that we bring them up to the levels necessary to support all of our industry here in the province.
Alberta's Minister of Agriculture and Irrigation, R.G. Sigurdson, thanks so much for joining us today from beautiful Okotoks.
Thank you so much, Hal.